some more quarterback talk. Sam Darnold had an incredible season this year, but he and the Vikings faltered in the last two games of the season as the Vikings lost to both the Lions in the NFC North title on the line and then to the Rams in the wild card round. Now, I have heard Dan and Stephen A. on this subject at nauseum. I want to hear from you. Do you think the Vikings should bring Sam Darnold back?
Yep. Tag him. It's cheap. He'll probably cost about $41 million. The franchise tag's going to be probably about that in the end. Listen, he proved he can win games. Like, this whole referendum and everybody doing this revisionist history of, like, Sam Darnold is who he thought he was. This was and continues to be a great story for Sam Darnold. He absolutely spit the bit in the two biggest games of his career of the season, and I understand that. But that doesn't, to use Stephen A., summarily dismiss everything that he did before that. You've already proven you can win games with Sam Darnold. You give J.J. McCarthy a little breathing room if you still believe that he is your future. And you keep someone on the roster for relatively cheap, knowing the results. Because in these cases, Molly, Dan, Stephen A., who are you bringing in that's better?
Exactly.
Who are you bringing in? You're going to go bring Kirk Cousins back? Yeah. You've already done that. Where are you going to find this veteran quarterback that gives J.J. McCarthy a little bit of leash to get healthy, to learn from? Why not? It's $40 million. Do it.
Well, I think you still have to have the conversation. There's at some point they're going to have a line of demarcation number-wise that they don't want to get past. I do appreciate the tag thing. I do think you have to have the line of the conversation of like, hey, if we move on from Sam Darnold, are we totally clear that JJ's ready to take that step? It certainly seemed like they felt that way going into this season. But I do think you have to ask yourself, by the time the 2026 season starts, is J.J. McCarthy just as good as Sam Darnold? I would argue Sam Darnold played top 10 quarterback football this year, top 10 football this year.
Sure.
I think Sam Darnold proved, when I was right, Stephen A., that he was a top 10 player at the position, and you were wrong on that. So he's a quarterback that you win a ton of games with. He's a quarterback that you win a ton of games with. He may not be a quarterback that you win because of. There's only like 4 or 5 of them on planet Earth. So if you're the Vikings, you're sitting there going, are we really going to pass on having this guy in our building? Kevin O'Connell stating there after the Packers game going, I always believed in him. I believed in him, and we got him there. So I think you have to have the conversation. The only wrench that gets thrown in this, and we don't know this, like we don't, is if you're the Vikings and you sit there and you go, no, JJ's the guy. Like, just the Chiefs had to make the same decision a little bit.
What's better for JJ, you think, to have one more year behind Sam Darnold or to get thrown in the fire next year?
I think JJ could go play right now and play well because of the structure, because of the offensive line, the skill in Kevin O'Connell. So I do think he can go play well, but you got to be darn sure about it. No, I know.
You don't know.
But
it's all conjecture. You already know Sam Darnold can succeed in this offense, and a $40 million succeed enough to win. And in a $40 million investment is cheap.
Okay, yes, but
insurance plan.
I think Sam was 10 or 12 this year. So there's $30 million less of your roster that you would allocate to Sam in comparison to this year. And obviously, if you tag him for 40, that's $40 million other dollars that you would spend on your roster and your football team to make it even better. So that's kind of where the conversation
where it gets
has
difficult.
to. Yeah.
Stephen A., where are you on this?
It's interesting because Al brought up something, and thank God I'm on this show to make sure that our narratives stay consistent. We didn't sit up there and act like Sam Darnold should be thrown out with the bathwater and unemployed. What we said was his market cap value was projected to be at about $54 million, and it plummeted to 40.
Well, yeah.
That's what we said. That's what we said. So you just brought up 41. You're right on the money, right? That's what they said.
That's what you said about him?
Well, that's what I said, because here's my point. I'm getting to what I said. They beat Green Bay, and people like Dan Orlovsky and others are on the airwaves, and the Vikings looked like absolute fools, hoisting him on their shoulders, showering and dousing him with water and all of this other stuff. You thought they won a championship. I was the one that was on First Take the next day. That's why they got that footage right there waiting for it. They know what I was going to ask for. I was the one on First Take the next day, and I said, what did they win? What did they win? They hadn't won no division title yet. They hadn't secured the #1 seed. Okay? And so what happened? Hold on. I'll let y'all talk. We went from 14-2 to back-to-back weeks of scoring 9 points. They scored 9 points and got blown out against a Detroit team that had 13 dudes on the injured reserve on the defensive side of the ball. They plummet to the 5th seed. They got to go on the road, okay, to play ultimately in Arizona, in Scottsdale rather, specifically, all right, because of what happened with the LA wildfires. And then they get boat raced by the Los Angeles Rams. He gets sacked 9 times. He scores 9 points. And you look at the turnovers. You look at how he looked like a deer in headlights. You look at Justin Jefferson not getting the ball, even though you highlighted how he was double-teamed at every turn. You look at all these things. Then you looked on the face of Kevin O'Connell. And did that look like a man that sat up there and said, I'm very, very comfortable going into 2025 with this guy as my quarterback? All of a sudden, you went 3 to 4 months without hearing J.J. McCarthy's name to hearing it rain down upon us because Minnesota was going to look to go in a different
direction. So, Stephen A., real quick, so you think the move's to go with J.J. McCarthy?
I'm saying, sure, I believe that's the case. But in the same breath, it's about how much it's going to cost you. It's about how much it's going to cost you. And I'm saying you don't give him $40 million. You don't give him $40 million. You go with J.J. McCarthy because how much of a difference will it be?
How old is Sam Darnold?
He's 27. Sam Darnold's 27.
27 years old.
So, like.
And I'm not saying he's done, he's finished. I'm telling you the Vikings, because you paid such a high pick on J.J. McCarthy. If they didn't have somebody, that would be different. They invested in J.J. McCarthy. That's why you do it.
So are you saying you tag him, Stephen A.? You agree with that, or are you saying you move on from him?
I got to think about that, but I'm inclined to move on from him because I believe by the way, refresh my memory, guys. Wasn't J.J. McCarthy, didn't people believe he was going to be the starter before he got hurt?
Yeah, it was. Yes. It felt like he was very much in the mix by reports. Yes.
Okay. All right. If it's close, I'll move on.
That's because they thought they had Sam Darnold from the Jets on the roster.
Correct.
And they were proven otherwise.
Correct. Like here's where it gets interesting because, again, would you rather have Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield.
All right, but I don't think it's far off by any means. I'd probably side with you.
Can I ask you a better question, Dan?
Who is more confident in the bigger moments, Dan?
Dan, can I ask you a better question?
Baker. Yeah, that's the concern.
But he's been there more. Yes, sir.
If Kevin O'Connell can do that with Sam Darnold, what can he do with JJ?
Yeah. Stephen A., I don't all that disagree with you. I think that, and that's why you go back to April and everyone was adamant. This is the best place for the rookie quarterback to go. It's the best structure offensive line-wise. Now that offensive line got whooped last week, but structure, the people around, Kevin O'Connell. So I agree with you. And honestly, if historically, this offense that Kevin O'Connell runs, which again is from Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Gary Kubiak, this offense oftentimes takes players that would be average and makes them above average.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It allows them to perform in that regard.
System.
So it is, when the system's the star, that's the most important part of it. So I think that there's a number that they have to get to. I also think you have to weigh what it does to your locker room.
But also, the chance to win on a rookie contract and bringing in other pieces.
You get 3 years.
Tough.
But that's why you got to ask yourself, can he get to that level by 26?
Tagging Darnold. Tagging Darnold will cost the Vikings a projected $41.3 million against the cap next year.
Yep. Yeah. And guess who's cheap? Rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So essentially, you have a backup plan, an insurance plan for about $40 million for a team that was 1 game away from being the #1 seed in the NFC. Yeah. It just feels like the monster that you know. You know Sam Darnold maybe is not the monster that's going to help you hoist a ring, but you know he's the monster that can help you win 13 games.
To spend other places is a big deal.
You always have Daniel Jones on the roster. So just throwing that out there. Still to come, we'll say.
No. Leave.
Hit. Hostiles in the area. Yeah. I've got you.
Enemy attack chopper out. Bring it down.
Hey, sorry guys.
They'll try again, 2nd and 10. They'll fake the handoff. Now Smith. And he's taken down. This will be a Brown sack.
Okay, you know my bias is about to come out here. A lot of people think that the offense is just moving in the wrong direction. I'd say they're moving in the right direction because the defense is pushing them back.
Former defensive guy. Now, as a quarterback, 3rd and long, you really got to rally the troops here, don't you?
Yeah, you're doing a big way, and what else do you have to look out for? More pressure coming at you because it seems to be working pretty well.
3rd and long, it's Smith escaping the pressure right. Slings this deep. This is caught inside the 15. And he takes it in. Touchdown, Washington.